Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. You'll be doing Systems of Inequalities and you will be able to do 3.7. Today, students will be able to find the solutions of a system of inequalities. Okay, and so in the previous lesson, you graphed one inequality. Now we're doing systems, meaning two inequalities in the same graph. That's the only thing it means when we say system. It means two of them instead of one. Okay, so again, when y is by itself, that means that this is going to be my b, m, and b. So this is the initial point. This is my first point on y, the y-intercept. And so since it's positive, it's going to go up. Okay? Never on x. That's the y-intercept. And this is y, this is x. And so for the slope, it has to be in fraction form. And if it's not, then you put it over 1. This is your rise. Remember that I use a sun because the sun rises. And then run. I put like a little, somebody running. Okay, so initial point. From that point, I'm going to go up 1, 2, and the run is 1. So both are positive. And then I would do 1, 2, and then 1. If I want to do more on the other direction, remember that you can just do the opposite. I'm going up 2. The opposite is to go down 2. I'm going 1 to the right. That means I can go 2 to the left. 1 to the left. Okay, so the opposite, lo opuesto. And so down 2, 1 to the left, 2 down, 1 to the left, 2 down, 1 to the left. Again, that's the opposite of going 2 up, 1 to the right. Okay, lo opuesto, the opposite. And so that's my line. Again, what kind of line are we going to have? This equal sign means that it's solid. Again, if you don't remember, you can just go ahead and go back to the previous lesson. Okay. And so it's a solid because it has an equal sign. Okay, I told my students, if you think of this as a pencil, then you have more lead to make the line solid. For the shade, this is easier because y is isolated. And then it says that y is less than. Okay? And less than, you have that line cuts y into two sections. Okay? The upper, which is greater, and the down part, which is less than. So since this y is less, we are going to shade that section. Okay, remember not to shade it too strong, just lightly, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, now for the next line, we have, hopefully you can see it, it says y is greater than negative 3x. Since we don't have an initial point, that means that our initial point is 0, and that's the y-intercept. And for the rise over run, we have rise, but we don't have the run, so we put it over 1 again. And so this is our sunset. Okay, why? Because the rise is negative, so you're going to go down. And the run is positive. You're going to go to the right. Okay, so 0 means that you start at the origin. That's your initial point. And you go down from that origin, you go down 3 spaces, so 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. Notice how when the slope is negative, your line is negative. When the slope is positive, your line is positive. Okay. Another thing that you need to check is, and you can go up on the other direction. If you are going down 3 and 1 to the right, then the opposite is to go up 3 and one to the left. Okay, instead of down, up. Instead of right, left. That's for to make more points and to make it a little bit more accurate. Okay, we cross. Now, this line doesn't have a little pencil. It doesn't have the equal sign. So solutions on the line do not count, and therefore we have to do a dotted line. Okay, a dotted line. Now for the shade, I'm going to use pink. Hopefully you can see that for this line, this was the shaded region, all of this. Okay, now for this line, are we going to shade this section or this section up here? And how do you know? Okay, it says that y is greater. When it has two dots, it means the y is greater. And if we're talking about this line, that line is cutting y into this section, which is the upper part is greater, the lower part is less than. Since it's greater, we're going to shade that region where this y is. Okay, so the shade should go on this side of that line. So now, what are we looking for in here? When we're looking, you notice that the pink goes all the way here, all of this. And the green goes all the way here. So the parts where the two overlap, look up where my hand overlap. Is basically in this section, right? In here you can see green and pink. Those are the actual solution, okay? So this part, I'm going to highlight more with green and also with pink. It has pink, and you see the pink in there? So you just want to make sure that you show it more, okay? Those are the two sections where the two different shadows overlap. Notice how in here you only have pink, so those don't count. These have only green, that doesn't count. This has both, and this has white. It has neither one of them, okay? Okay, let's do the next one. Again, if you need to see it, make sure you go back or pause the video, whatever you need to do. Okay, so we have y is less than negative x. So in here, we don't have initial point, so we are going to put the 0, and that's right there. Then, it doesn't have the rise and run. That means that there is a 1 over 1, but since it has a negative, it's negative 1 over 1. From the initial point, my rise is negative 1. So this is like my rise. So negative 1, and then my run is positive 1. So negative 1, positive 1. Negative 1, positive 1. Negative 1, positive 1, negative 1, positive 1, etc., 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 etc. Okay, and you can see that it just goes on the opposite direction. You can even see the pattern sometimes without even having to count. Okay, what kind of line am I going to have? Oh, it does not have the equal sign, so it does not include the line. Therefore, it's going to be dotted line. Okay. Doesn't need to be exactly from one point to the other. It's just as long as the line is dotted, that's fine. The other thing is that y is less than. When it has one dot near the y is less than. So that means that the shade is going to go where the y. This is bigger numbers because they are positive. These are lesser numbers because they are negative. Not because this is a bigger section and this is a smaller section, okay? That's not the point of it, but rather which values are greater. Or in this case, which values are less. of the 1 and 2, and negatives, then these are less. Okay, so we're gonna shade from that line on this side. Okay. Okay, and now the next line. So we have the initial point is -5 on y. Remember, this is the y-intercept. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, -5. And then my rise and run is -1/1. So it means from that point, it goes down 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. I didn't draw the sun and the runner, but again, 1, 2, 3, and 1. We can go in the other direction as well. If we are going down right, we're going up left. Okay, the opposite. So 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. Something like that. And so, what kind of line am I going to have? Well, it has the equal sign in here, so that means that the line is going to be solid. Pencil gives me more lead to draw the line. Okay? And so, it says that y is greater. Okay, greater because it has 2 points. If it's less than, it's 1 point. So greater, this is the section of y, and this is the other section of y cut by that line. Okay, so which one is greater? Which section? This, because it has, it's greater. These numbers are greater than this right here. And remember that when we have negative numbers, the bigger they are, in reality, the smaller their value. So, since this is, that's where I'm going to color. I'm going to do slightly, and now I look for the section where the two shades meet. Okay, this has green only. This has green and pink, and this has pink only. So this is what I'm going to shade extra. Voy a sombrearlo más. Okay. So these are the solutions basically. And I can go over with the green as well. And so that's what we're looking for, where the two shades meet. Estas son las soluciones de donde las dos se juntan. Okay? Okay, so now you can pause the video. If you need to see it again, go ahead and go back. But let me give you 2 more examples. I'm going to go a little faster since I hope you get it. And if you don't, just make sure that you pause the video, you go back. Okay, no initial point, I add 0. That's the origin. The rise and run. This always means up or down. Since both are positive, it's up, 2 up, and 1 to the right. So 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Okay, if you want to go on the other, that's enough if you want. But if you want to go in the other direction, remember that you go down 2, 1 to the left. Okay, the opposite. What kind of line am I going to have? Well, it has the line in here. It has the equal, so you're going to make a solid line. Okay, and, oops, sorry. Y is greater. Greater. So this is y, this is y. Which values are greater? Always on top are greater. So that's from this line, that's what we're looking for because it's greater. Okay, if it was less, then it would be here, and that's where we shade. But since it's greater, this section is greater, I go over, and then I said, okay, this is where I'm going to shade. And it doesn't matter if you go like this or like this, as long as you understand where you're shading. For the other one, if you recall from previous lessons, when you don't have x, you don't touch the x-axis unless it's y is less or greater than 0. Okay, but if there is no x in here, you're not going to have a slope. It's just y is less than 2. I look for y, 2, it's right there, and you say, wah! You're going to cut it through there without touching x. Okay, that's what it means. So basically, on 2, you're going to draw, what kind of line is it? Since I don't have the equal sign, it's going to be a dotted line. Okay, and then for the line, it says, for the shade, I mean, it says y is less, right? It has only 1 point less. So that line cut y into this section and this section. If it's below, it's less. If it's above, it's greater. So it says less, I'm going to shade in the bottom. And so where do the two shades meet? Well, the only section that has both pink and green is right here. So I'm going to shade extra. Whoops, sorry about that. You can see that I just cut a piece of graphing paper to do the graph and put it right here. Okay, and a little bit more of green. So this is the section where the solutions of the system lies. Okay, this section right here only. Okay, right here. Okay, let's do one last one. Again, I'm going to go a little faster. Initial point, 2. Rise over run, 1 over 1, negative 1 over 1. So, negative 1, positive 1. Negative 1, positive 1. Negative 1, positive 1. And it's just corner to corner. And you can see that, oh, it goes on the other direction the same way. It's like saying the negative goes here, positive 1, negative 1, right? That's what we're doing in reality. This has the equal sign. Okay, equal sign means solid line, línea sólida. And so I'm going to graph that. For the shade, see how I'm going faster? For the shade, it says less than. Okay, so this is the section for y. Less, this is less, this is greater. So you can even see my finger kind of forming like the symbol in here. That works only when y is by itself, okay? So less, right here, right here. Oh, don't get confused because you can also change that, ¿verdad? So y is less, the lower part, okay? And from that, we start shading where that lower part is. I don't shade extra hard because I just need to see where the two shades meet. For the next one, I have the initial point -3. So 1, 2, 3, negative. And then both are positive, so it's going to go up and to the right. So up 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I don't have enough. You can just leave it like that and trace your line. Or you can go the opposite direction. If you went up 2, then you go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, see how they align? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Same pattern, but opposite direction. Okay, and my line is going to be, what is it? What is it? Broken or solid? Solid, because it has the lapicito, the pencil. Pencil helps you make a solid line. No pencil, then your line is not solid. It's broken or dotted. Okay, For that one, my shade will be, y is greater. Okay, so for this line, the lower are less, the upper are greater, so that means that that's where I'm gonna shade. Okay, this section right here. Where do the two shades overlap? Oh, I only have pink in here, white, green, both pink and green. Okay, so that means that my solutions are right here where the two overlap. Okay, and yay, how fun to color in. Woohoo! Hi, teacher. How come we have to be kindergartners again? They say. Okay, so that's it. Have fun, and now you are able to do 3.7.